Welcome in, everybody. My name is Kenny, and I am on the community team here at Whatnot. And I've been here at Whatnot for like 3 years, just a little over 3 years now. And on the community team, we really focus on creating and delivering programs that help educate sellers at scale while embodying this sort of human to human connection, which makes it so special. And I want to introduce a friend, Ben, who's here. This is his second time on Whatnot Sellers. So, Ben, welcome back. For those of you who hadn't met Ben last time, maybe Ben, you could just introduce yourself, maybe share a little bit about yourself, your favorite category, most recent purchase.
Yeah, definitely excited to be back. So, folks that didn't tune in last time I was on the show, my name is Ben. I'm a product manager here at Whatnot, focused mainly on the discovery experience. So, think about all of the recommendations that you see when you first open the app, as well as if you don't like what's being recommended to you, how you then search or navigate and find the shows or the content that you are looking for. A lot to do with just helping provide better recommendations to match the right buyers with the right sellers and make sure that everybody across the buyer and seller side of the business has a great experience on the platform.
Love it. Yeah. And maybe your favorite category to shop in and most recent purchase?
Yes. Hard to say. I shop from a lot of different categories on Whatnot and probably increasingly more and more, which is good for the business, not good for my wallet. I like to buy magic cards, vinyl records, some clothing, got in on the Labubu craze recently, like everybody else. I think my last purchase was a vinyl record. I've been collecting all the Arcade Fire albums. Got one of those earlier this week. Also want to shout out the launch team that's been doing a lot of work getting more and more small independent record shops on Whatnot, which is really cool to see. There was a really great moment a couple weeks ago where there's a local record shop here in LA. I think it's called Permanent Records that I've gone to in person, and I just saw them pop up on my For You feed
Oh,
on
cool.
Whatnot, which was really, really a cool experience.
Yeah, nothing like seeing us out in the wild, just like out there. And so, look, I mean, if you're new to this channel, look, if you want to drop questions in for Ben as we talk through some of these things, make sure that the questions you drop in the chat are related to the topics that we're talking about here. Obviously, we can't talk about everything. We only have an hour to get through a lot of content. So, we are going to be talking about some really exciting product updates that also was released in yesterday's blog post. So, if you could also pin the blog URL in the chat, and then if you guys haven't seen our blog, you can definitely check that out. It's a really great resource to stay in the loop on sort of latest and greatest things that are happening at Whatnot. Casey or Kiyomi, if we can get that URL in the chat, that'd be awesome. And then yesterday we had a product update. So we talked about new things like Shipment Scanner, which is very, very cool. Personalized home feed, which we're going to talk about. We announced captions finally coming to Android, which is big, and then also some new subcategories that we launched that you could check out as well. And so what we're going to do is Ben and I are going to kind of sort of dive through all of those things topic by topic, starting with Shipment Scanner. But before we do that, I'd love to just kind of zoom out a little bit. Ben, if you could tell us what guides these choices in terms of like, what are we prioritizing in terms of features and product updates? And what is sort of the product team's philosophy when thinking through prioritization?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of our product philosophy comes down to having conversations like this and getting direct feedback from our community, both on the buyer and seller side of the business, and really indexing on prioritizing features that we know will be impactful for our users. Ultimately, we're all building this marketplace together, and we don't want to chase shiny objects and build what seems cool as a tech company. We want to build actual impactful features that help you as sellers be successful on the platform and connect with the right buyers and provide a great buyer experience for everybody else on the platform. And in practice, what that comes down to is testing really quickly, getting feedback from all of you. So that means small rollouts, incremental changes, small tuning of features. A big ethos here is, getting 1% better every single day, not waiting to ship the big monumental changing feature, but making little small tweaks over time and then scaling what works. So really important for us to have these conversations where we get direct feedback so that that can in turn influence what we're working on next, rinse and repeat, get more and more feedback, and hopefully keep improving the experience.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing a little bit kind of under the hood on how we look at this. The first feature we can talk about is the shipment scanner. So if you're a seller, new feature that's rolled out to some, will rolling out to all down the road here soon is shipment scanning. So Ben, can you tell us at a high level, what is that? And then what sort of problem does it solve?
Yeah, definitely. So we know that a lot of sellers work hard to ship out your sales, but sometimes one, carriers are not going to scan your package accurately, and that might be they don't at all or they scan it late. Number two, we know that that can then impact your shipping metrics, which are super important to keep in line. And then ultimately, number three, that can leave some buyers wondering when their package is going to arrive. And they might DM you or message you, hey, when is my order going to arrive? So to help sellers, we're introducing an in-app shipping scanner that will help you provide proof of drop-off. So kind of reading that back, what problems are we solving? Missing or late carrier scans, protecting your average ship time, and ultimately giving buyers more timely proof of shipment.
Awesome. And then can you walk us through sort of what the user flow is? So I'm a seller. I finished my show. I packaged up all my orders. Labels are on the boxes, and I take it to USPS. What then? How does where does this come into play, and where can I expect to see it?
Yep. So putting yourself in that scenario when you're ready to hand off or drop off your packages, what you're going to want to do is navigate to the fulfillment tab in the Whatnot app. And when you tap that confirm drop off button and you see the shipments that are ready to drop off, it's going to open up a scanner, which is the new feature here. And really all you need to do is point that scanner at each package that you're ready to ship. And the scanner is going to do two things. It's going to automatically scan the barcode on the shipping label on the front of the package, and that's going to let buyers know that the package is on the way to them. So buyers are going to get immediately notified that the package is on its way with an email and the photo of the package itself. And then we're doing the work behind the scenes to make sure that the shipment is automatically marked as shipped. And that's going to update going back to the what we were talking about before, that your average ship time is updated. And this should be working for all carriers and all shipping services.
Awesome. And I will say that I tested this when we were just testing it internally, and it works very, very well. It's very intuitive, very easy to use. I did see a few questions in the chat. No, this is not a required step, right? So I want to make clear here that you can continue as you have been by just marking it dropped off or just dropping it off and hoping that USPS scans, but sometimes they don't, right? And so this is kind of to protect that. And so if you do scan it, this will be used towards your average ship time, right? And but again, not a mandatory. It's just it is nice. It is kind of like a quality of life update, which helps kind of sellers protect their average ship time, especially if they've noticed that their local USPS has missed scanning items in the past. So again, not a must use, but it is there for you all, chat, and definitely recommend checking it out. Okay. So what kind of outcomes should sellers expect by using this?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, this is just a tool to have in your arsenal. Use it as your at your own discretion, depending on how reliable like your local post office is. But we definitely recommend trialing it and using it. Ultimately, what should you expect? More accurate ship times. Like we're putting you in the driver's seat here. You get to mark when your order is dropped off. That should lead to fewer questions from buyers. Hey, where is my package? They're going to get a photo of the actual package in that email so that they have more security that it got dropped off, and avoid unnecessary cancellations and charges, both from buyers and any sort of issues with the postal service. So really just adding more security and more control in your fulfillment flows.
Awesome. And then are there any best practices here when you're dropping off?
Yeah, definitely. So make sure your package or your order is already packed up and sealed and that the label is clearly attached before you take that scan and take the photo of the package. Scan as close to the handoff as possible. I did this over the weekend. I know that my post office, for example, doesn't have great cell reception. So what I did personally was as I was walking out the door before I hopped in my car, I took the scan of the label, and then within a couple minutes when I got to the post office, I just dropped them off. So do what works for you. See what works best when you integrate this into your normal or typical flow for fulfillment. Also make sure there's just one package in frame so that buyers aren't getting photos of other packages and you're not confusing the scanner where it's trying to, scan multiple barcodes at once. And ultimately just try to make scanning part of the regular routine for you when you're fulfilling your orders. Try this out, see if it becomes a good best practice for you, and see if it helps with providing a better buyer experience.
Okay, and definitely getting some really great questions here, Ben, about the shipment scanner. So I think what we'll do this time around is once we get through some of these questions that we have, we'll take the questions on this feature update that way so the folks can kind of keep it together. So when is this rolling out, I guess, is kind of my big question. Is like, and is it across Android and iOS, Android and Apple?
Yep. So we've rolled this out to a subset of users on iOS and Android, and we're going to be rolling it out to more sellers and markets later this month. So stay tuned as we continue to collect feedback from some of the early sellers that are using the feature. We'll be sending more comms as it continues to roll out. So stay tuned.
Love that. And then does using the scanner today count towards or help with untimed scan rate for Premier Shop or for a seller's account health?
Good question. It does not today, but we will be continuing counting it towards on-time scan rate in the coming months. So we're going to send an update to sellers before that change takes effect.
Okay, incredible. So look, chat, there's a lot here, right? So two resources I would suggest if you want to learn more about this before we jump into the questions that we got about this feature. You could always go to the blog itself and read the actual article where we released this yesterday. It's blog.teamwhatnot.com. Again, also just generally a really great resource for you to stay up to date on the latest and greatest, whether it's in-app events, announcements, press, or things like this, right? And we usually do these about once a month on the product release front. But also, if you want to go even deeper, you can check out our help website, which is help.whatnot.com. And you could just search, ship scan, and then there'll be a help article there that's, really detailed with the whole user flow and all that. I want to take some of these questions now, Ben, that we got. So Dig It Up Records is asking, so do you have to scan each package individually?
Good question. When you use the flow, you are scanning each barcode individually, but you can do it in a pretty seamless workflow. So when you open up the camera app, you can scan in a rapid fire barcode by barcode, and it's going to collate them all together so that if you're dropping off, say, 10 or 15 packages at a time, the process is pretty smooth. You're not, doing one by one. It's a pretty smooth process to scan them all in.
Okay, awesome. Next question comes from Rainbows and Drewsies. What if you're using a computer for all of your shipping fulfillment?
Yeah, great question. So again, this is totally an optional process. Definitely recommend checking it out if you want to leverage the scanner. There should be a QR code, I believe, in the seller hub where you can quickly navigate from your desktop to the scanner. Figure out what works best for you in terms of optimizing your fulfillment flows if you're predominantly using desktop.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate you rapid firing these with all of us. Hobby Vet is asking, and I know that we addressed this, but let's address it again. See, it's coming up kind of a bunch. Can you still confirm drop off without using the scanner?
Yes, you still can use confirm drop off without using the scanner for now, but definitely recommend checking this out as a smoother and more foolproof way to confirm drop off.
Yeah, and look, chat, I always recommend at least check it out, right? Like Ben said, like take it for a test drive, see how it works for you within your own fulfillment flow and operations. Like everyone does it a little differently. You might find that this is really exactly what helps you kind of confirm drop off, and you want to make sure, like you take, for example, take a lot of pride in dropping off your shipments the day of the show or the day after the show. Well, then now if you scan it, then your buyers will get an email with a picture that it was dropped off. So you can almost differentiate yourself as a, what would you call it? Just like an expert fast shipper by leaning into this feature. So see how it works for you, chat, and then make your own kind of decision whether or not this is something that you want to incorporate into your flow or not. Next question is coming from Poppy and Mia Moore. Can I scan in the morning for an afternoon drop off?
Great question. We recommend that you scan as close to dropping off the order as possible, since this is going to send that email to the buyer confirming it's dropped off. So use at your own discretion. We definitely don't recommend confirming far in advance. Like I mentioned, if you're heading out the door to the post office, it makes total sense to confirm it right then and there.
Cool. And I also want to just kind of reiterate, I see a lot of folks are saying, well, like, what if you have 100 packages and stuff like that? Look, the scan itself and the interface for it, the experience for it, it's very rapid. Want to be, maybe we didn't mention how quick that is. It's like you just point and it's beep, and you point and it's beep, and it's like it's as fast as, if you've ever had, I mean, when I do a whatnot show, I usually then have the postal guy come and pick up the packages from my garage, and he has like a handheld scanner, and he literally scans every label before putting it into his mail truck. So this is kind of like a similar thing, and it's extraordinarily fast. Like I know that the team really dialed in the speed here. so that you just point and it registers, and you point to the next one and it registers. So no need to worry about like, oh, if I have 100, is it going to take me like an hour to sit there? The answer is no. It's very, very fast. Next question comes from Crowned in Ivy, and then is asking, and so I think it is part of the app already, right? For those who have it. And if you don't have it yet, you will be getting it, you said later this month, right, Ben?
That's the plan right now, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see it. You'll see it in your, which tab was it in the Seller Hub, in the order fulfillment tab?
Yeah, that's right. It should be integrated fairly smoothly in the standard flows when you're confirming orders and getting ready to package them up.
Okay, last question, and then we're gonna. It's a lot of great questions here, chat. I appreciate it. We're gonna take one more here, and then we're gonna jump to the next feature. This one comes from Kalu's Thrifting. Sorry if I got that wrong a little bit. Will the scan sheet still be available?
Will the scan sheet still be available? That's a good question. We can follow up and get back to you on that one. Some
Yeah,
really
and I
good
know that DJ, if you're watching, I believe the scan sheet will still be available, but if you can let me know, that would be great. Yes,
coming in
still.
live. He said yes.
Yes, appreciate you. I know you're here. So yeah, the answer is yes, scan sheet will still be available. So just a couple of reminders before we jump here to the next topic. You do not use you do not need to use this feature if you do not want to. This is not a mandatory, this is not a requirement, so to speak. This is more of a quality of life improvement. Again, if it works in your operational workflow, that's great. We're happy. That's why we built it. If it doesn't, you can just carry on however you've been doing it. The scanner will be available late November in your order fulfillment tab if it's not there already. Again, you can scan many, many packages very quickly. It's a very seamless process. And it's like you'll see when you try it how easy and quick it is. So I really do encourage you to give it a shot, even if you just want to just check it out. Obviously, we recommend scan as close to drop off as possible, right? And then last question, we'll reiterate that scan sheets will still be available. Appreciate all the great questions. Okay, next topic we're going to talk about is the personalized home feed. So at a high level, what are we talking about when we say we've updated the home feed? I know that this is more of a visual change that folks will see, but can you walk us through that? You know, what has changed and why does it matter?
Yeah, definitely. So you may have noticed when you've opened the app in the past month or so that there's some more visually prominent category tiles at the top of the home feed, in addition to that followed host tab. And we made some changes there to really help users navigate to those tabs and find the right categories or sellers that they're interested in. Both changed, obviously, the visual presence of them, but also updated some of the personalization so that, as you're browsing and engaging with one category, it starts to be featured more prominently at the top of the app so that you can jump into that category specifically or drill down into the subcategories within. Yeah. So as much as it is valuable for buyers, I think it's even more valuable for sellers. It really heightens the importance of choosing the most accurate category to sell in when you're scheduling your show. And ultimately, what we're doing here is helping connect the right buyers with the right sellers. So from this change, you can expect that there's more high intent traffic from buyers looking for, in your case, sneakers, jumping over to the sneakers category and browsing through just those shows. So really what we're trying to do here is help connect you to the right buyers. If you're going to schedule a show and say, vinyl records, like I was talking about earlier, there should be more high intent buyers that are specifically looking for vinyl records now coming to your shows, which ultimately should help create a better experience for both you and the buyers. This should be out already for everybody across both Android and iOS. Web to come.
Awesome. Okay, I don't know that we have any questions about that. Let me scroll down real quick. Nope, it's pretty self-explanatory. The next thing we could talk about is some new subcategories. So if you're sellers, this is some new subcategories you might want to lean into, especially as they're pretty fresh. Which ones did we add? And then I guess, who should consider using them?
Yeah. So, kind of going back to what we were just talking about, we want to help buyers navigate and discover the right content through categories, but equally important to creating the new tiles and the whole visual aspect of it is actually creating more and more categories on Whatnot in parallel. So I hope this becomes a recurring segment where we're talking more about the categories that we're adding. The goal is to continue to expand and add more subcategories on a regular basis. So just wanted to call out a couple that were added. Within women's fashion, we added some subcategories for plus size dresses in boutiques recently. Want to call out plus size in particular. That's one where we've been seeing a lot of search volume, people shopping specifically and looking for plus size clothing, and felt like it was a great inclusive time to carve it out as its own distinct category to make it easier for folks to discover those shows. Food and drink is another category that we're seeing really take off on Whatnot, which is exciting, and we've carved out some more specific subcategories there for baked goods and snacks and candy to help folks that are looking for, cookies versus candy just find exactly what they're trying to shop for. Sports gear is another category that is growing quickly on the platform. We created a subcategory for baseball and softball gear recently, and there's going to be some more category expansion there coming soon. And then a fun one, which is kind of a community favorite, stamps has been a small tight-knit community on the platform for a while, but created a new category just for stamps so that stamps collectors can go live in their own category.
I love it. And I'm really excited about kind of the growth happening in food and drink. Shout out chat. If you know a great food and drink seller, maybe drop it in the chat. It is a really fun category, right? You get to see all these different snacks, exotic candies. I bought a cookie, I think it was from Crumb City, and it was just insane. Like really, really good. Yeah. Shout out to Crumb City cookies.
I think they go live from the farmers market sometimes, which is
Yes.
really cool to see them live in the IRL, so to speak.
Have you
But
had their cookies?
no, I haven't yet. I should order some.
You really should. It was like insanely good, like too good. I was just like, uh-oh. But yeah, check that out. I also know we've got a lot of sellers that are doing like kind of create your own box. And so they'll fill up a box full of candies and chocolates and stuff like that. And then run. It's just a really cool category and it's a lot of fun. And honestly, I see a lot of growth coming there. Okay. How do all these new categories help growth?
Yeah, good question. So I think it's similar to what we were just talking about with the personalized home feed. We want to have a tighter match between live streams and buyer intent, which leads to a better browse experience, more search relevance, and ultimately a clear path to a focused buyer base. So, if you were selling a hodgepodge of random stuff in food and drink before, now there's a more narrow focus for if you're Crumb City and you're selling cookies, baked goods is going to connect you to those buyers that are specifically looking for cookies. Now imagine that for, all these other categories. Ultimately, again, I sound like a broken record, but like we want to help you get connected to the right buyers that are looking specifically for what you're selling, which makes your job easier and leads to a better experience on the Whatnot platform.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much. The last product update we can talk about, Ben, is closed captioning for Android. And so why expand captions now and what is the impact of that?
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to some of the product philosophy or ethos we were talking about at the beginning, which is small rollouts, move quickly, and listening to community feedback. Part of that is also making sure that, we're keeping a backlog in terms of where there's gaps in terms of feature parity. And even when something doesn't necessarily bubble up to the top of our product roadmap as a big feature, also making sure we carve out time for some of those smaller wins that we know are going to resonate with the community. And so wanted to celebrate adding captions to Android as kind of one of those smaller but important and impactful quality of life wins. That's something where we've been seeing strong usage on iOS of captions. A lot of viewers are watching Whatnot without sound, but didn't frankly have the parity for that on Android. So a small but mighty team of just one engineer was able to implement it fairly quickly. And that's part of the product philosophy, again, that we'd like to celebrate, which is enabling folks on the team to kind of fix those parity gaps and get 1% better every single day. Also want to include that captions are really important. They increase viewership, improve comprehension, and they're a little bit more inclusive for folks that either can't use sound or don't want to use sound when they're watching Whatnot.
Yeah. And I think if the chat knows anything about me, they know that I'm an Android user. And this is one that I've been really looking forward to for a long time because I definitely have the app open, if I'm on the couch watching TV. And sometimes I want to watch what I'm watching and hear that audio. And then if something cool pops up on in an auction, then I unmute, so now I can really follow along and have that context. So yeah, huge win for Android. Shout out to my Android fam out there. We've come so far on that, right? Like I remember when I started here 3 years ago, the gap was Android was definitely a second-rate citizen, and now there's literally I don't think anything anymore that isn't on Android that y'all have on iPhone. So let's go. Okay. I think look, those are all the topics we wanted to cover. let's recap a couple things. First of all, I wanted to say if you're just joining us now, this is the Whatnot sellers account. This is the official seller facing account on Whatnot for sellers. We go live here with various content a couple times a month. We'll talk about new product updates like we're doing right now. We'll interview sellers and we'll do various other types of programming, all in an effort to help you sellers succeed on Whatnot and build human to human connections. So that's really cool. Follow us, bookmark upcoming shows. Okay, so what did we talk about? Let's recap. We talked about shipment scanning, right? Ben, can you tell us at a super high level again what this is and why sellers should take note?
Yep, building the tooling for all of you to confirm drop off in the app, scan packages, scan the shipping label. That's going to help protect your average ship time, and that's also going to confirm the drop off for the buyers and send them a photo confirmation via email.
Okay, and again, chat, you don't have to use this feature. It's just a quality of life improvement. See if it works for you in the way that you do your shipping. And if it does, that's great. And if it doesn't, you can just continue to do it as you have been. We also talked about new subcategories, right? So we've added some really good subcategories. Let me just recap what those are.
Boutiques, all within women's fashion. We've got baked goods, snacks and candy, and food and drink, baseball and softball gear, and sporting goods. And there's more to come there, by the way. Kind of a sneak peek for winter sports and a couple more that are coming soon. And then stamps as a kind of community favorite in the antiques community.
Okay, sick. And then we also announced that closed captions are coming to Android, which is awesome. And I think and also kind of an updated feed, personalized feed, which kind of serves you the categories on the top with a carousel. And then you can scroll and it's really optimized to show buyers, what they're intending to buy. And so very good for sellers, very good for buyers. Again, the idea is to, reduce the friction and help people who are looking for certain things find that as fast as possible. Look, appreciate all of the great questions. We're going to do a raid where I have something fun for you guys. I know you are always asking for Whatnot merch. We actually have a bunch of new employees in our LA office who are live right now, and they're doing Whatnot merch. All right, so y'all get ready for it. It's going to be hype, and also show them some love. These are new folks who just joined Whatnot, and so we're doing that raid. Let me draw this giveaway winner real quick. Before that, all right, chat. Y'all have been great. It's been a short one. Ben, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
And yeah, let's pull up and show some love, and y'all can get your merch. Let's go.